Hey folks, how you guys doing today? Happy Thursday. Sorry I missed you last Thursday. That Comcast outage was nasty. I had hoped to be able to post a video for you guys soon enough, but after I finally got around to getting off the phone, or I think it was chat support, I forget, and restarting my router several times, I ran out of time to be able to get a video up where you guys could watch it in the same day. And after that, I just started feeling bad. I should have sent another email. I'm sorry. Someone asked me in Discord, but I did not post anything for last week because if you didn't have time to watch it in your class slot now, I didn't want you to have to spend other time outside of this window that you guys have set aside for class. So we're just going to adjust the schedule here, and it should be okay. We'll call that like a snow day. That's the new snow days when we have internet outages instead of actual snow. So let's take a peek. What are we going to adjust? I'm going to pull up my copy of it here. It'll be easier. All right. All right. Let's see if this does it. Ooh, that's a weird view. Wow. Here's a page. Oh, I was having trouble with the loading last time. That's why. Here we go. Maybe yep. It doesn't render. I don't know if it's D2L, if it's me or what, but it doesn't look quite so right here. Let's just try it here in Word. There we go. Oh man, last page. Keep on scrolling. Keep on scrolling. Okay. So this was the snow day, so we're gonna cut this one out. And actually, oh man, we got both of these to cover. Okay, we can do that. We can do that. Let's see. I think this week will be easy enough to combine. There's not, or maybe even this week too. There shouldn't be quite as much here. So let's bump these down a little bit and add in that snow day. So let's move this topic to over here. We can combine those ones. Nope, come on. Work with me. That's not copying right. Okay, let's try that again. Text copy. There we go. Okay. So that's PHP 2122. We'll move all that down. And then we're going to bump all of this stuff down a little bit as well. Here. And we'll bump this one into here. There we go. PHP1, PHP2. So we really just did the appendix here. Okay. Snow day, Comcast outage. That sound good? Yeah, the authentication email, this is a relatively light topic, and then this web programming Java MVC Tomcat, this is all basically a repeat of the PHP stuff, but doing it in Java. So it won't be super intense there. And we should be in decent shape here. So I think I got all your project zeros graded. Let me save this as V2. V2, and then I'll go add that one. Okay. So let's post this back here. V2. I think that'll upload for me. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, I'm sorry I didn't send an email. I mentioned in Discord, but I forget not everyone always checks that, so my apologies. I'll be sure to triple communicate next time with the various Discord, D2L announcements, and emails. I don't know which one you guys actually check, so hopefully all of them. All right, so what we have today then, we're going to do a quick overview of web development, what that's all about, and then we'll get into the basics of PHP, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Okay, so I think everyone got all their tools up and running and didn't have any issues. I met with a couple people, I think, to get XAMPP going. I think one person might have emailed me and said they're having trouble on Mac, but I never heard back from you. So if you're still having trouble, do let me know. So I can look at things. I'm not very familiar with Macs, but it should work. I mean, not that that's all that promising, but okay. So I'm going to start up a new project. And now I want my PHP application. Oh, come on, NetBeans. It keeps turning features on and off for me. I don't know why. And someone else had asked me a great question. Yes, there is a way to keep PHP projects in GitHub, and we'll get to that. Our JSP projects and our PHP project we can keep in GitHub repositories. At this point, let's just keep it simple. We'll just drop them right in here, and we can go from there. Again, it's not the proper way, but we're just doing some development work. We're just trying to make this thing get up and running. So I know it's ugly, and we'll get to a better way later. Is that fair? Okay. So great. On my project, it's my local site, and then again, you need to change your URL if you had to change the port number. Remember, I had to change the port number because I already had IIS running on 80, and I don't want to turn it off because I do other things with that. So I changed this one to 50,080. So I'm going to change the number here to 50,080. Okay. Yeah, this whole copy source files should do what we need it to do. We haven't set it up yet, and we're a little crunched on time, so we'll get to the GitHub stuff later. Get to it. Isn't that funny? All right, we'll say finish, and it should start up our project here. Didn't I click finish? Oh dear, it's mad about something. Couldn't invoke modules. PHP version is null. Oh, what did I do wrong? PHP version. Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. This is all the things we did. Okay. I had to pick it from the drop-down again. Sorry. That's fun. All right. Take out this comment block stuff. So what we have here, right, is a PHP page running on our Apache server. Right, so Apache looks for stuff in a certain directory and will respond to web requests. So we didn't have web development as a prereq here, which is a little bit weird, but that's okay. Localhost 50,080 is how we ask for web pages from our computer. So localhost is the name for our local computer, right? When you hit things like oaklandcc.desiretololearn.com, that's a different computer, right? All that stuff magically happens using DNS. So DNS is the domain name service? Pretty sure. DNS. Domain name service? Domain name server service? Okay, sure. Domain name system? Okay. I got the other parts right. So names, we use this DNS service so that we can have nice human names instead of using IP addresses. An IP address is your identifier, kind of like your street address is an address. Again, hopefully you take a networking class and you take the intro to web design class, and this stuff will make a lot more sense. We're just hitting those high-level notes here. But localhost is me, my local computer. So it's making a request to my computer to get some information. And I think we've got, oh yeah, so these pages here are set up all with this XAMPP login. Nothing super special here. Then we can take a look in that XAMPP directory. Again, it's installed in C XAMPP. So let me grab my folder here, go down to my C drive, check out the XAMPP directory. If I can get double click to work, there we go. All right, sorry, make this a little bigger. Okay, so this is all of the things in XAMPP. It installs a bunch of stuff. Okay, from in there we have an Apache folder. This is all of the Apache server stuff to run the Apache server. We've got a nice little one-click here to start and stop it using the control panel. That's nice. They don't recommend you use this for production web servers, like if you actually want to host a real website out places that do dynamic things. There's some tools and some considerations you need to get into. Again, the book does a pretty good job with that, of telling you what that's all about. Oh, that's what I was going to show you. So, like this domain name stuff. If we wanted to look up, hey, what is the IP address of oaklandcc.desiretololearn.com? We could come here. There's a command called Nslookup. And Nslookup goes out and asks my domain name server, which is set up as Comcast, hey, what is the IP address of this website, or of that domain name? And it gets translated here. So it's one of those two. Either one should work. So if we wanted to, we should be able to take that address and plug it in. Tell it we want HTTPS connection. And it should respond. Let's give it a shot. Oh, and now it gives us a nice warning here. So it's saying the certificate common name is invalid for star.brightspace.com from Amazon. Here's all this information about the certificate. What that means is it was expecting to find a website named brightspace.com, not an IP address. So certificates that help encrypt all of our web communication, right, are based off of name, because IP addresses, they don't often change, but they can, and we have whole systems for that. So it was unhappy with that. It wanted desiretololearn.com. And you can take a look at the certificate info here. This is star.desiretololearn.com. Amazon has issued this certificate. So Amazon is the root certificate authority, and they issued a certificate to anything star.desiretololearn.com. Star is the wild card here. That's why Desire to Learn can host as many different schools as they want using the same certificate. And we trust the certificate, and it will encrypt our traffic. So using the IP addresses doesn't even work for secure communication anyway, but it all gets translated. That's fun stuff. Okay? So what we get here with our project, let's go find our index.php file. It's not properly, there it is. So it's in xampp htdocs. So the htdocs folder is where all of our PHP stuff is going to live. So inside of htdocs is the main PHP. This is when we ask Apache for a web page, this is where it's going to go look. So notice we have this applications.xml page and index.php page, right? A couple of these pages. Right? This one is inside of dashboard. But when I clicked applications, I get applications.html. This is just a boring applications file. Applications.html. So an HTML file here is considered static content. And we can edit this one. I like Visual Studio Code as an editor. I know the book recommends Notepad++ or something, but I prefer Code. You can use any editor. I mean, you can even use Notepad if you want. But this is the web page here. And this is all HTML stuff. If you haven't taken a web development class, this will look a little crazy. It's okay. We're not going to get too advanced into here. Don't worry too much about it, what it all is here. Let's see. We want, those are all the links. So if we wanted to change something in here, right, we could add in some more static content, like you guys added a hello world, just for fun. So we're going to go and add another P for, I don't know, can I edit this page? And we'll save it, just to see if we can edit a static page and get those results back. Look at that. And I refresh, sorry, F5 is refresh. To do a refresh, you can just hit the F5 key, it'll refresh the page. And now we're getting new static content. So again, HTML pages are static. The idea is it's just, here's the file, and we're giving it to you. There's nothing interesting happening behind the scenes on it. When we get to PHP, we can actually do dynamic things. So what we're focusing on is dynamic web pages. So what happens here is we get to mix HTML with scripting, programming scripting in the PHP language. So when we ask the Apache server to give us this page, before we just get static content, so we're not just going to get the index.php content, here. So if we open this one up with code, we can, oh, I'm sorry, we already have it open in NetBeans. I don't even need to do it there. Before we get this returned to us, the web server, that's the Apache software that's running. XAMPP just starts it. It's kind of this convoluted, this thing touches this thing and tells this thing to go. This gets interpreted by our PHP server, by our Apache server. So if we were to go and view that page, again, we'll just put a hello world in here for fun, like an H2 or something. Hello world, H2, okay. When I go view it, hello world, why, I don't want, no. Give me Firefox, please. There we go. Yeah, don't use Internet Explorer. That's just terrible. I mean, at least Edge is better, but Firefox is good. So now I get the PHP page, right? And what you can do is when you're on a web page, I'll show you like with this one, you can right-click and you can view page source in most browsers. Any decent browser will do this for you. And you'll get to see this is all the static content, right? This is all the HTML. And here's the place where we edited it, right? We can do that same thing for our page here, if I want to view the page source. But notice what's missing. If I compare that with this, I open those side by side. What isn't there? Is anything missing? I'm pausing for dramatic effect here while I wait for you guys to answer. That way I can drink some coffee. Yeah, this PHP section. Anything in this PHP tag gets interpreted, and the Apache server, before it gives me back my HTML, does this stuff. Oops, sorry, this one. And then it doesn't get sent to the client. None of that gets sent to us over here when we receive the web page. So it's not static. It is being dynamically, I don't think rendered, interpreted is the right way. It's being dynamically interpreted before we get our version. So this is on the server side. This is why of course, we're focusing on server side technology. We'll talk briefly about JavaScript and stuff, but all of this happens on the server. So, my computer is being both the client and the server. But in the real world, right, when you hit a web page, there's like D2L, right? All of this content is being interpreted before being sent back to you through whatever process they're doing on the server side. And we could take a look at this page source. I'm sure it'd be interesting. Maybe not all that interesting, but here's a bunch of stuff. Right, notice they're all like Brightspace, which is funny. Like they are Brightspace, but they're also Desire to Learn. I don't know how that all works, but we get all this garbage. And this is all the stuff we see. Sorry, it's not garbage. This is all the good stuff. Okay? So we can interpret. So before the web server gives us something back, the PHP server goes and does something with it. And we got a nice little picture of it in the text if you go look at that. So the technical terms, right? The web browser is what goes and asks for web content. The web server, like Apache or IIS if you're in Windows land, is what responds to web requests. And then we can have server-side languages, so coding languages that we use to do this dynamic interpretation, whatever, rendering of pages before we send them. PHP, JSP are the ones we're going to talk about. There's also ASP, which is the Microsoft version of things. You can do it with Perl, you can do it with Python, you can do it with all sorts of other languages. There's some really cool things you can do with web servers or server-side languages. Then we're going to get into databases, where our server can talk to a database for information storage and retrieval. That's why we're going to use this MySQL, or really MariaDB or some MariaDB or something, but it's essentially the same thing, just a different name. So we're going to get to that next chapter, how we can actually do things more interesting with the database. And that's where the real world happens, right? Just plain PHP pages are not very interesting unless they're backed by data. And everything in the world nowadays is backed by a database. All the information we get from places. It's good stuff. So then there's some history. You can go look that up. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. CSS, we're going to do almost none with CSS, right? You can take a web development class and learn more about cascading style sheets and how they all work. So we're not going to worry about it. Yeah, PHP is the P in LAMP. So the Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, and we'll call that the LAMP stack, which is just a way of saying this is my technology that hosts my websites, that runs my web servers. All right. Then what we can do, now it starts to get a little bit more interesting. So let's come back to our page here. We can have multiple pages. So the index page is kind of like a default page. So if you go ask for, where to go here? Project 2, specifically, without telling you what page you want, you're going to get index.php or index.html. And again, that's slightly configurable by web server. But so you don't necessarily need that path directly here. Okay, if you want, we can put it in. Doesn't hurt anything to have it in there, but it's not required. So what we can do is we can steal this from the book here. Don't worry, it's okay. It's just a silly example. So we're going to add a form here to our page. So we don't actually need any PHP at all, which is fine. I'm going to get rid of the tag because we don't need it. So I'm going to actually get rid of our hello world as well. And we're going to add in, I don't know, what do we want to do? How about sure, we'll add a header. This is our Bmi Calculator. Okay, so we can calculate body mass index given some values. So we're going to create a form, a form. And in HTML, we have to say, hey, what is this form going to do? And it's going to send it to, well, we don't have any pages right now, so it's not suggesting anything good. We need to add a new page. So we're going to have a bmi.php target. And our method will be, I actually like get, but that's okay. We can do post because that's what the book does. We'll come back to that. When you have these tags, right, you have an open tag and you have a closing tag always. So the start of head and the end of head, the start of title, the end of title, the start of the body, the end of body, the start of the HTML page, the end of the HTML page. So there's always an open and a close. Okay. Then what we can do here is we can add some sections. These are divs, and it's always good to give them IDs. So sure, we can do that. And then we'll end our div over here. And inside of here, we need some data, right? So to calculate BMI, I'm just going to Google it because, nope, not MIB. Don't want to calculate the Men in Black. How about BMI? Refresh. Come on. There we go. Is there... Here we go. WikiHow. All right. We got a good hit. It was like the fourth one down. Okay. So we need our height in meters squared. Okay. Then we take our weight in kilograms divided by height squared to get a BMI. Okay, that's not so bad. So we're going to need some information. So the things that we need then, we need a label, and we're going to say height in meters. That'll end our label, and then we'll have an input field here, and this is a type of, man, it's going slow, type of text with a name of, this is height. Okay, and then a BR is like a new line. I still don't understand why there's a B there. Break, maybe? I forget. Okay, so we have one input spot here. And we're going to add another one. This will be weight in kilograms. And this will be weight. Okay, that ends that div. So we have these input sections here. So I can add a place to type. Again, don't sweat this too much. This sort of stuff you just go look up. Again, you don't need to memorize anything for this class ever. Right? There's people don't get paid to memorize stuff in the software business. Right? They get paid to make working software. And no one will ever tell you, hey, you have to do this off the top of your head. Except maybe if you're interviewing, because our interview process sucks, or in exams in academia. But I don't make you memorize stuff because I think that's dumb. That's just me, though. Okay, and I'll make another div. So divs are like sections, basically. Another div here. And inside of here, we're going to add we should give it an ID. This is for our buttons. Sure, why not? We'll have another label, and this is, let's just put a blank in there. Sure, that's fine. We use this crazy symbol at NBSP label. Why not? Again, we're copying most of this off the book, sort of modeling it. So an input type of, now this one's not text, this is a submit input. And the value is, so what is it going to say on it? This is calculate BMI. BMI. Okay, that's our input, and then we'll add another break, and our div, we'll end our form, we'll end our main page. Okay. And the page. So let's see if we can run that. See if we get a form. Look at that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because that's a little small here. So I've got a spot to enter, some numbers. I got a calculate button, and then oops, it takes me to bmi.php and says requested URL not found. We failed. That's okay because we didn't have a bmi.php page. We need to go add one. So we're going to add a new PHP page. BMI. Okay, now this one, we actually want to have some code in here, some PHP code. Are you with me so far? Again, this could have been just a static HTML page. And sure, we can even rename it. I think we can do that, right? Rename. Oh, it's not letting me change the file type. It could have just been an HTML page instead of PHP. But that's fine. It's not hurting anything to be called PHP. There's just no interpreting happening on the server, but our server doesn't care. It's okay. New to HTML. Is that what you're new up to? Yeah, which is weird. It's not a prereq. But again, we don't need a lot of it, and we're not going to do any fancy HTML stuff. Most of the HTML, we're just going to rip off of the book examples. Because the part that we're focusing on in a back-end web development class is the server-side technology sort of things. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's definitely not too bad. And I can help you with anything you might get stuck on. But most of it, we're going to take an example and we'll tweak a couple things to get up and running, because the HTML side of things is not the interesting part. Right? You can take the JavaScript development or HTML5 development class if you want to learn more about that specifically. We're focusing on our server-side stuff. So what we're going to do, and again, there's different conventions for this, but our book is fond of, so we're going to follow that, putting the PHP block at the top. Sure, why not? So we'll put all of our PHP stuff at the top, then we'll spit out some HTML pages. Okay? So what we want to do is we need to go get some of those values. So in PHP, this is our language here, right? We can have comments. So we're getting the data from the form, right? So what we do is we create variables. So in Java, we would have data type, variable name equals something. Now here in PHP land, we don't do data types, which is crazy, right? So we just say, hey, this is my height, and we're going to assign it the value of, and now we get a couple special things in PHP. There's this $_post is a special thing. It's the post variables. Remember in index we said, hey, we want to post. There's a couple ways of sending data. You can get data or you can post data. And again, there's some conventions. Usually when you're submitting data, we would typically post it. And when you're like reading data or getting some information back out where you're not really submitting something to the server, you get. It's not a hard and fast rule. That's just sort of a convention. So in this case, because we're submitting data, we're going to use post. So I'm going to get it from the post data array. And then to get a particular value out, I need to give it the name. So I called it height. So I'm going to say, hey, post data array of height, semicolon. Give me the value that's in the post array named by height. Okay, and then I'll have a weight. And that's, again, the $_post. And that's in the array. I need the weight. Okay, So I've got those information. I've got that information. Now I need to say you see a PHP echo and HTML within the echo. So you can echo like whatever you were trying to echo. If you have a specific code snippet, send it to me or post it in the Discord. We can take a look. But we're going to get to the echoes in just a minute. So at first, we're setting up all of our variables. This is, so we got the data from the form, and now we do stuff with our variables. Okay, so I'm going to have a weight squared. And again, depending on which convention, I like this because I'm used to this from Python, where you use underscores to separate words. If you like the Java style camel casing, you can do that too. Honestly, I don't care one way or the other which way you do it. If you get a job doing web development, you should do what the organization's convention is, right? A general good rule of thumb is the people signing your paychecks, right? You should probably go along with their conventions and their style guidelines, right? It's not worth picking a fight and saying, oh no, I always do it this way and this way is so much better. Because really, it doesn't matter. The difference is meaningless. So we're going to go weight squared is equal to, and now right in here we can start doing some familiar-ish looking code. I can take weight times weight. Oh, I'm sorry, not weight, it's height squared. Oops. Height squared is height times height. And notice all of our variables have this dollar mark. So $ variable name, $ variable name. Okay, so we have a weight squared. Oh, and a semicolon. Thank you. And then we get a BMI. Right, that is equal to our weight divided by the height squared. And again, we could have probably just done height times height right in here and not had it separately. That's okay too, right? Either way is okay if you want to do the arithmetic. Just make sure if you're doing this instead, if we leave it at this, we have a big problem. Do you guys know what that problem is? Think back to your math class, what the big problem is. And I think you guys might have a Dear Aunt Sally, possibly. Yeah, order of operations. Definitely, order of operations. Thanks, guys. You guys get 5 bonus points. Unfortunately, bonus points aren't actually worth anything. But sure. So, yeah. So you can put in the parentheses. Again, why not? I don't see anything wrong doing it this way. And then this makes sure that I don't, by mistake, forget order of operations. So I'm fond of doing things that the bonus points mean something to your spirit, Lazy Rager. Yes. Yeah, I'm fond of taking one extra step if I need to make sure I don't make mistakes. Sure, either way, I don't really care. Okay, so now I have the BMI. Okay, so we've got that. Now, how do we use it here? Well, down here in the body, we're going to say this is our H1. Yeah, H1. There we go. The right button here will do the autocomplete. This is your BMI is, I don't know. That's H1 is probably silly. So this is my Bmi Calculator. And then we'll just do, I don't know, maybe just a label. Sure, why not? So BMI and the label, and then the book is fond of doing spans. So sure, we'll do a span. Nope, span. There we go. So inside of that, now we're going to do more PHP code. So this less than question mark and question mark greater than indicates to our PHP server, hey, do something special. So question mark less than. Okay? That's our special PHP tag. Question PHP, question greater than. If we put this in here, the Apache server will do something special. And what we want to do is we use this command called echo, and we're going to echo BMI. Okay? So echo means, hey, take a value and replace it. I mean, like, put it in this place here. Okay, I'm going to save, and let's give it a shot. Let's see if we can run it. Bmi Calculator. Okay, so height in meters. You know, I don't actually know my height in meters. Maybe we should have given them height in feet and converted for us. So let's see, 6'2" to meters. 1.8796. That sounds about right. Why not? Okay, there's my height in meters. Weight in kilograms. Ooh, I gotta figure that one out now too. So, wow, I can't use a mouse today. 215 pounds, 2 kilograms. 97 kilograms. All right. Calculate BMI. Look at that. We go to the Bmi PHP page. We've posted the data, and we get a BMI 27. Holy crap. I think that's higher than I thought. That's unfortunate. I mean, muscle weighs more, right? So BMI is it's a crapshoot. It's one measurement here, but it doesn't work for everybody for sure. So, all right, we did our first dynamic page using PHP. We did some stuff with the post data. Now, remember when you post to forms, like the data is getting submitted behind the scenes. When I hit refresh, Firefox and most of your browsers are nice. They'll say, hey, they have to resend the information. We'll repeat any action, such as search order confirmation that performed earlier. So sometimes this is bad if people weren't careful. And, you know, if you try and charge someone's credit card every time you hit a page and they hit refresh and you charge them a second time, they're going to be upset with you. Again, that's a little bit beyond the scope of what we're tackling right now at this basic level, but there are definitely ways to get around that. So don't feel like this is the end of the world. But yeah, I'm going to say resend, and it does it again. Cool. You guys with me so far? That was chapter 1. Cool. Cool. Right, and again, if we did right-click and say View Page Source, all we get is the HTML stuff. All the PHP stuff is gone. Yep, post is just a set of data, and like an array. We can get it by an array, and the variables are stored inside. Yep. So if we go back here, so if you hit F12 in a nice browser, you get the Dev Tools. Now, Dev Tools is awesome here, and we want to, I think that ought to do it for us here. So I like Firefox. Some people like Chrome better, but I consider Chrome spyware at this point. And I mean, sure, Google spies on us and sells our data, and we get their services for free, essentially. But it bothers me. You wouldn't type your credit card number into a PHP form? I mean, yeah, sure, that's fair. So from here, when I calculate BMI, we're going to see all of the web requests happening here. So this was the Bmi PHP, and we should be able to see, I think it's in here. Where do I see that? Quest. There we go. So again, it varies slightly depending on your browser, but essentially you get the exact same tool set. So I clicked on the Bmi PHP. This is the post request to Bmi PHP. And I can see all sorts of information about it here. I'm looking at the request information. And in here, this is the data that was submitted. So essentially, this is the payload that was sent in post form. So you can see it there. Excuse me. Okay, we all right so far? Cool. So we're going to move into chapter 2. So doing a little bit more interesting stuff here with PHP, and then we'll talk about the first project, where we do just a basic form and make it do something. Okay, it'll be slightly more interesting than the Bmi calculator. Again, the HTML side of things, don't sweat too much about it. Those you can pretty much copy paste. We can go from there. Okay. So let's change this up now. So, or we can do another example, I suppose. So I'll post all this stuff. This is terrible. I'll get it in my GitHub. I'll create a GitHub repository so you guys can see all this stuff, and I think that'll just be better. That'll make life easier, but I don't want to spend too much time showing you guys how to do that yet. I don't know. So we only have so much time. No, I mean, any of the HTML side of things, you're basically going to be able to copy what I did or copy out of the book. You shouldn't need anything special, anything new. Like we just make a form, we make some spans. So if this makes no sense at all, and you don't see, okay, here's an input, here's the name of it, here's an input, here's the name of it, let me know. Yes, we want this part to make sense, but don't feel like you have to do anything fancier at the moment. Okay? All right, so the next thing we're going to do, well, let's add another page here. And we'll call this we'll call this hi. Okay. So what we're going to do with the hi.php page is we're going to see if we can get someone's name. So again, at the top, we're going to start our PHP code. So less than $PHP, and then $greater than to end that tag. And notice NetBeans is nice and it highlights it in orange. Like here's the matching tags, these are the special ones. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to see if we can get some get data. So again, a get submission is typically for like, hey, I want to read only. I'm not submitting data for you to keep or do something with. Here's a value, you can use it for whatever we're going to do. So you might notice if you go and search something, like on Bing, you might use Google, there's a /Q or $Q. Sure, we can use Google as an example. Why not? When you go to Google and we search something like, I don't know, what do you want to know? How far away is the sun? And we search it. We get this question mark here, and you get a bunch of other crap from Google again. But what we care about here is the Q, which is short for query. How far away is the sun? And then ampersand separates all those values out. So I'm going to get rid of all that other garbage. This is essentially our question. So we're submitting this to Google in Git form. I'm saying, here's my question, here's my query. So you could copy paste this and put it in another browser and run it, and it should respond. How far away is the sun? Right, because this is the get data. It just gets attached to a URL. So what we want to do is we want to, where did our page go here? We want to get some information off of hi. Okay, so we want, say, how about name? And we'll say that is the $get array given name. I want to find the value named name. Okay, now I've got name. Then what I can do in here, I can say echo $name. And maybe we'll put this in, I don't know, a label or something, or hi there. And then we'll end the label, and then we'll put this inside of a span. So that's typically what the book did. And then we would put this on like a single page, like every single line, each echo, usually on a single line. Doesn't have to be, and again, it's not too particular. This is just one of those conventions that makes things easy for people to read. And we like when it's easy for people to read. Yeah, Amazon links, they have so much stuff there. I mean, it's a little crazy, for sure. So there are a couple limitations to Git. You can only get like so many characters in there. I forget what the modern limit is, like several thousand, something or other. Where post, you can put nearly unlimited amount of data in a post. So just be careful. But let's see if we can get a hi there. So again, when I hit run, I get the index page. That's my starting page. So I have to go to hi.php. Uh-oh. Undefined array key name on line 2. Hi there. Ooh. We got a warning here because it couldn't find the get data. Oops. So what I need to do, I need to put question mark name equals Eric. having to manually do links is terrible. Your echo's undefined? Oh, that doesn't sound right. Something might not be right with the PHP version. Yeah, definitely should be able to echo. So when you start up a new project, take a look at the variables. We can hop on a screen sharing session later, Lazy Rager, and take a look. Or if you really want to get started on it, we've got those virtual machines you guys can launch and get access through the virtual machines too. But yeah, we'll get you up and running. I don't know anything off the top of my head why, other than it doesn't know what PHP is or something. So trying to get a name is going to have trouble if we don't tell it what our name is. Oh, okay, you just forgot the question mark. Gotcha. Yeah, so if it turns orange, you're in pretty good shape. If it's not orange, then something isn't right. Okay. So what we might want to do then at our index page, we might have another form, right? You can have more than one form. So I'm going to make another form. I'm just going to copy this one here. And we'll put another, what do we do here for this? Another header maybe, h1, hi, h1 header. And this will go to hi.php. And we'll ask for a name. We're going to change our method to get. So I only need the one. Okay, so I have one label for name, one text input for name. And it's the get method here. And then we'll have value is, I don't know, click me or something. Sure. Okay, and we'll run that one. So we can get the Bmi calculator, or we can, hi, enter a name. My name is computer. And when I click me, it takes me to the hi PHP page, and then in question mark. That means this is the start of the query string. And it says name equals this. And notice there aren't spaces. In a URL, you're not allowed to have spaces. So the plus character is used instead of spaces. And you saw that again in Google, right? How far plus away plus is the plus, right? All those pluses. Hi there, my name is computer. And this time when you refresh, it doesn't warn you because it's all in the URL already. Okay, versus our BMI project, right? Because it was post data, it says, oh, are you sure you want to resubmit? Yeah, we can resend. Other fun things we can do. I'm pretty sure we can tweak this here. If I change my weight, can I change it here? Probably could change the value. Maybe not. Oh, now with post data. So there's all sorts of special characters in query strings. The plus sign represents a space. Yep. Yeah, you could put a bunch of things in there. Like, so if we go back, right? Test, right? We get a bunch of things. So it just takes the underscores. That's fine. There's some weird stuff that happens, like if you put in special characters and whatnot. It will convert them. Notice we don't get those special characters here. We get, this is HTML escaped, encoded versions of that, because those characters mean special things. So a lot of characters get converted behind the scenes. You don't have to worry too much about that. There is some issues we have to deal with if we're not careful with those, but that's enough for now. Okay. So in our BMI calculator, you might have noticed and been upset that we just say, hey, here's a value, and then all of a sudden we can do arithmetic with it. We never told PHP what type of data it was, like an int or a float or a double or a string or a boolean or a char or anything you might have done in Java. So there's actually 6 data types in PHP. So we get 6 data types, right? We get, oh, come on, work with me. There we go. Let's do it all like that. 6 data types. That's a multi-line comment, by the way, and it's nice enough to like give me more comments as we go. So you can have integers, right? Those are whole numbers. You can have doubles, or numbers with decimal places. That's my favorite definition of that one. It's probably not correct, but that's okay. You can have a boolean, right, which is true, false. Right? You can have a string, which is a bunch of text. You can also have arrays, and you can have objects. Okay? We'll get there in another chapter or two, unfortunately. So pretty much we get these ones to start. Okay? We'll get here later. We will get to this later. Is that fair? So it just says, oh, it looks like a number with a decimal place. It's probably a double. Right? Which is nice. It just works when we do our arithmetic. And our high, right? It just was a string, sure. And even if it wasn't a string, when we echo it, all we want is the characters anyway. We weren't trying to do any arithmetic. So if I were to say, oh, hey, my name is 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, it doesn't care if it's a number or not. All we're doing is echoing. We haven't tried to do any sort of arithmetic with it or not. So, sure. Integers, Boolean, strings, doubles, yep. That's good stuff. Declare some variables, yep. You can add your own constants if you want in PHP, like up in your PHP block. Sure, go for it if you want. Not too big of a deal. All right, so we've got get, we've got post. Man, you guys are doing well. All right, let's try this. Let's see. Where did we... Back here. So when I did that crazy stuff for name, do I still have it? Nope. Do a bunch of special characters in here. We get... all comes back out okay. Right? That's okay. Now, the problem is people can do some nasty things if you just take data and process it. So we do have to be a little bit careful. So what you can do is we can use this fun little HTML special characters, special chars method. So this is usually what we want to do, just to be a little careful here. If we can get the special characters out, let's try that. I'll just refresh that page. It's making sure that it's not doing anything inappropriate. So it doesn't look any different for us, but the way that it processes it behind the scenes is a little bit safer. So you can do, what is it, the like JavaScript Alert. Sure. Let's see. We'll find it here. Just a second. Where's the... There we go, this one. So we take all of this and put it on a single line here. Actually, we don't want it as a function either. We just want an alert, I think. I think this is right. Let's try it and see. So we put that in name. We're okay right now. Let's see, if we take out the special characters, I think this is where we get the trouble. Let's try it again. There we go. Uh-oh. Boom. Someone gave me JavaScript code in an input form, and I didn't use HTML special characters. When it gets interpreted, it gets sent back literally to the client, whatever they said. So if I view my page source, I get this script alert script thing, which runs JavaScript on my computer. This is bad news bears. Okay? So the better thing to do, pretty much any time we are outputting something that we're getting from input, is we wrap it with special characters, which is really obnoxious that we have to go through all that extra work and do it every single time. Remember, oh shoot, that's not a... That one? Yeah. Remember always use special chars. Okay, look at that. That is a HTML comment. Sure, why not? Oh, this one. Nope, 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 nope. There we go. So now I get that back out, and if I view my page source, nope, not page info, view page source, we see it is HTMLified. This and less than semicolon LT is the HTML encoding for it. So that's the HTML special characters. So it takes special characters and HTML encodes them so that my browser doesn't get, oh, this isn't actually a script tag. And notice this shows up as a HTML comment. If you didn't want someone else to see that, we could put it in as a PHP comment. PHP comment like that. Now, when I refresh that, that comment's not there. Right, so PHP comments inside PHP blocks are not returned to the client. HTML comments are. Comments are returned to the client. PHP comments are not. Right? And hopefully that makes sense, because anything inside this PHP block gets interpreted by the web server before it's returned. You guys with me so far? And actually, let me see. I post a bunch of garbage on Twitter, but I found one cool thing on Twitter, I think. It was, where was it? Hang on, it's probably not too far back with the rest of my garbage. We'll get to the good stuff here in a second. Come on. Oh, my tweets. Where was it here? I mostly retweet people. I don't do my own stuff. No. Yes, this one, this tweet here. This was it. This apparently was in some White House website. I thought that was cool. Like, very intentional, right? Because we know HTML comments get returned to the client. Right? I just thought that was kind of cool. All right, so why don't we take a quick break? We'll come back in 10 minutes and pick it up from there, okay? Let me put some more music back on. I'll flip over to a break screen and say about 2:10. Okay, we'll be back in just a minute. Let me fire up the music. We'll go from there. Hey gang, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Alrighty. Alright, we can pause that. It's just about to fade out. It's alright. Alright. So again, the HTML special characters. Definitely good to use. You don't want to be doing bad things with JavaScript. Okay. Let me go back to our home page here. All right. Excuse me. Right? You guys still good. You're still hanging out. Right. If you remember back to Java, when we did arithmetic, and you took an integer divided by an integer, you would get an integer result. Right? But with PHP, because we don't explicitly declare types, if you take an integer divided by an integer, you're going to get a double result. So we just echo, I don't know, maybe we'll put it here. Yeah, why not? We'll put some other, do a span here, span. Why don't we put some PHP stuff here? Question PHP, question, let's echo, let's do, I don't know, like 10 divided by 3. Okay, I'll save. And if I already have the page open, I can just hit refresh on it, which is nice. So I get 3.33333333, which is good. Because that is a good result. It's not an integer divided by an integer gives me an integer value. If you want integer division, you can say int division, int div. Then, ooh, nope. Oh, there's an error. Uncaught argument count error, int div. Specs 2 argument. Oh, I forgot my comma. Yeah, you don't have to put the divided by. You put a comma now. There we go. There, now I get 3. Okay, so again, just depending on what you want to do, you might want integer division, or maybe you want the actual values back out. So I don't know, we'll say like label. Why not? We'll do that as a label. 10 divided by 3 equals. There we go. Maybe we should put that down a little farther, right? Maybe we need to put a break in. Little break. And just to space it out a little bit. Okay, now here is where I tend to get into arguments. And that's okay. You recall a lot of stupid things went around on Facebook. Like, what did we have here? 10, or no, it was 12 divided by 2 times 6, right? And they say, what is this number? What is the answer to this? And you would get a surprising number of people telling you the answer is 1. And I blame our math education here in the United States on people saying the answer is 1. And it makes me really sad. Really sad. Because when we tell people the order of operations is PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, they say parentheses. Nope, no parentheses. Exponents. Nope, no exponents. Multiplication. Ooh, let's do the multiplication first. 2 times 6 is 12. Division. Oh, okay, 12 divided by 12 is 1. Cry. Right? Multiplication and division have the same order of precedence. The same order of precedence. I mean, you have to say one term before the other because you can't say multiplication, division. Division, multiplication. Like, it's not one word. So one of them has to come first when you're saying them. But they have the same order of precedence, so they get evaluated left to right. So you get 12 divided by 2 is 6. Then you get that times 6 is 36. I mean, it's not misleading. They don't do a good job explaining that multiplication and division have the same order of precedence. I mean, no one would look at, let's do another. Let's do another. No one would look at 12 minus 2 plus 6 and say, oh, you have to do 2 plus 6 is 8, 12 minus 8 is 4. No one does that, right? Because we understand addition and subtraction have the same order of precedence. We go left to right. So we get 12 minus 2 is 10, plus 6 is 16. Right? There's nothing misleading about PEMDAS. It's just people don't understand that they have the same level of precedence. We go left to right. I think they also write it like where they say 2, times 6. And they're like, oh, it's touching. That means you have to do it first. No, that's just because we're too lazy to put the multiplication sign in there. Right? Touching, it just means multiplication. That's all it means. Okay? Oops, I gotta add another break in here. Sorry. Break. There we go. Right? 12 divided by 2 is 6, times 6 is 36. 12 minus 2 is 10, plus 6 is 16. Okay, so let's put that in a message here, right? So H2, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So really, my dear and Aunt Sally, same level of precedence. So you go left to right. Okay? That makes sense? Okay, no one's crying. That's a good sign. You guys are good at this. Combined assignment operators. You guys might be familiar with that. So like in our BMI calculation, right? We just did these ones here, but we could say BODMAS, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. B, I don't know what the B or the O is. Okay. Okay. So these ones, we weren't doing any arithmetic directly here. Ah, brackets operations. Ah, okay. Cool. So if we wanted to, we could have calculated this differently, right? Where we took these values. So we could have just taken height and said, hey, multiplication equals, times equals, height, times equals, height. And squared itself, right? That's times itself assigned back. You guys are familiar with those assignment operators. So I prefer using new variables because, again, memory is cheap. And it's just cleaner here, I think, than like changing height. And then, so I like more variables. I'm always fond of more variables. What is weird, though, is when you're dealing with strings. So a string value, like some string, is in quotes here. Or, I'm sorry, you can do single quotes or double quotes. What was the reason? Why am I forgetting here now? Yes, so double quotes in PHP will let you do some cool substitution stuff. So maybe we'll call this the BMI string. BMI string. So I put double quotes here. Say your BMI is, and then right in here I could put BMI. And notice it turns purple. So if you remember back to Java class, I think you guys all took Java as a prereq, right? You could do the string formatting, and we could do the substitution. You could say, hey, here's a place I want you to substitute in an argument, a value here. It's the similar idea, but that happens automatically with double quotes. So if you're not doing substitution, the recommendation is to use single quotes because it's faster. So then here I could just say, we don't even need the label then at that point, right? So we can calculate BMI. Right, so that gets calculated as a single string. Right, with this your BMI is. Either way is okay. Just know that. The other funny thing here now, so maybe we do some checks. So semicolon. Then we could say, you know, if we wanted to append something after that, the string concatenation operator, combined assignment operator, is dot equals. That's a tad high, Eric. Hi. I know how to spell things. So this is the string concatenation assignment operator. Right? Instead of BMI string equals BMI string plus something here. Sorry, this should have been single quotes because I wasn't doing any substitution. Oh, but now my single quote here is sad. Oh dear, that's unfortunate. Well, okay, so double quotes is better. That way I don't have to escape anything and... Sure. Stop! Oh my goodness. Get the right value there. Okay. Right, and it just string concatenates. Okay, you guys know modulus. I don't think we need to spend any time on that one. HTML special characters, very important. That's super helpful. You can use number formatting, which is cool. If you want specific formats on like how many decimal places we should go here, we could do that. Yeah, I don't know if it matters too much for us. We could try that. So this is like a nicely formatted BMI, or BMI rounded BMI. How about that? Rounded BMI. BMI is, and we'll use the number format. Number format. There we go. We'll give it the BMI, and then we'll say how many decimal places do we want? How about 2 decimal places? So I can use that instead. It'll be even prettier. Because no one wants like this many decimal places. They don't even care. You know, we probably can just get away with rounding to 1 decimal place, because I don't think anyone else cares beyond that. So notice I'm saving. Sorry, I'm hitting Control S to save the page behind the scenes here. If you make a change to the file and it hasn't been saved yet, right? It's not gonna reflect it until you save. So you'll see it's kind of hard to tell. The page, the name there kind of got in bold because I hadn't saved the change yet. And as soon as you save the change, it goes back to not being bold anymore, and your save icon turns off. So I keep coming back with save there. Okay, so rounding's nice. Other couple functions, you can check if values are numeric. You can use date formatting, which is really nice. That's a good way to figure out what the date is. So let's see. So if we just do, what, like today's date, right? Yeah. So date is the current date, and then you can also format date given a formatter. So if I want, I don't know, today is date, and maybe we put that in the calculator with HP echo date. Maybe we'll put that in the H1 span with the header there. Oops. Uh-oh. Uncaught argument. Date expects at least 1 argument. Oh, it wants the format. Sorry. We need to tell it what format we want for date. So date is, now I'm partial to year, month, day format because it sorts nicely. And I'm weird like that. That's how I like to see dates. Oh dear. Undefined variable date. I broke it. Oh, I called it today instead of date. Look at that. Nice, helpful error messages. There we go. So year-month-day. That's the ISO standard, which is a much better standard than what we usually get. Month/day/year, or month/day/year is weird. Yeah, this is a lot of chapter 2. Yep. Okay. Excuse me. You can also do some filter validation, input filtering on your input. I'm not going to worry too much about that right now, because that's the cleaner way to go. Hydration, thank you. So before, when we got that error like on the name page, let's go back. No, not home. Don't want to go home. Just like project 2. So I still have a name, but if I try and hit the page, oh man, thank you so much for cheering. You are contributing to the Student Scholarship Fund over at U of M Dearborn. Thank you very much. So if I don't have a name, notice it crashes, and it doesn't crash, but it's ugly. We get this warning here. So what we can do is we can use a filter input, and it's just the better way to do that. So let's come over to our high page, and we're going to say we still want to use the get thing there, but we don't want to access it directly. So we're going to use filter input. And filter input says, okay, well, what type? I want the input get input. Then what do I want to get? I want to get name. What that does for me now, when I come back to my page, if I don't have the name parameter here in the get, I just get a null value, an empty value. And nulls don't crash, thankfully, when you echo them in PHP. So if it's null, it doesn't crash on us. Okay, it just is empty. It's blank. Nothing big there. No big deal. So that's a better way to go about using the validation. And then you can also do checking too if you want, to say, hey, is it an integer or is it a float or a double? Is it these sorts of particular types, which is fantastic. So it's a good habit to get into. Users will do the dumbest things to your applications. And hopefully you ran into that and had some experience with that in Java programming, right? Where just weird stuff happens, okay? So this is another quick safety check for us. So that's definitely the preferred method of doing input, okay? You guys all right so far? Okay. The next cool thing we can do, so in BMI, we'll take a look at this one here. We're going to actually do a little bit of arithmetic or some logical branching here. So I'm going to check. So I actually want to look up the Bmi chart here. Sure. I'm sure the first image I find here has got to be the official one, right? I can close out some of these. Don't need these other tabs. Come on. So they have healthy BMI, overweight, obese, and extreme obesity. So we're going to say if you're more than 24 or 25 or greater, we'll give you an overweight tag. Right? So let's do some checking. Okay, well, so we'll start at 40 or higher here. So we want to check. So we're going to say if my BMI, or my rounded BMI, why not? Rounded BMI is greater than, yeah, sure, greater than 40, greater than or equal to 40. Right, and then we still use curly braces. I like them down here. Sometimes they go up here. I don't care where you put them. Does not matter at all to me. We're going to take the BMI string, and we're going to say you are, what is the technical term here? Extremely obese. Or your BMI, right? Or BMI indicates extreme obesity. Okay? Else if. And we'll just work our way down. If it's greater than or equal to 30. Your BMI indicates obesity. What did I do wrong here? I have to put it on the same line. All right, it's got to be on the same line. Look at that. Or maybe these parentheses. Probably the parentheses. Else if it is greater than 25 or equal to, it indicates you are overweight. Okay, I don't know why I have all those extra spaces there. And if it's not, then we're just not going to do anything. Or sure, why not? So how about an else? We'll add on. Oops. Your BMI indicates you are healthy. And again, BMI is crap for actually measuring this sort of thing. Like, pretty sure Dwayne Johnson is in the mid to upper 200s because the guy's just ripped, and he is not obese, right? So, you know, again, it's just a number. Don't worry too much about it, but it's a nice, easy thing we can use for our calculations here. So let's give that a shot. Let's go back. What did I say? 1, there we go, and 95. My BMI indicates I'm overweight. Okay, I can go back if I make this larger, right, like 120 maybe. Calculate obesity, right, at 34. Make this even more, like 160. Extreme obesity, and it's all following our rules. So this is nothing super special. It's all stuff you would have done in regular programming, right, using ifs and elses and ifs and whatnot. We get the same logical operators. You get ands, ors, and nots. You get greater thans, you get less thans, you get equal tos. So those are all pretty straightforward there. We can use while loops. We can use for loops. Right? Those they work pretty much the same way there that we would have done in Java. Excuse me. Hey, I'm sorry, the chat's been kind of quiet. I don't know if you guys are bored now, if you're still hanging on there. Oh, is my internet having trouble? Shoot. Said my bitrate was bad for a minute there. Well, so it's not Java because it's PHP. So it is slightly different. But yeah, we're essentially embedding code in our HTML pages. We're gonna, the second half of the semester, when we switch over to JSP and Java servlets, that will literally be Java and HTML. So we're just going to look at the PHP model first, and then we'll look at the Java way of doing it. And then if you're bored and interested and want to learn the .NET way of doing it, or in C#, you can take the ASP.NET class we have as well. We can do it that direction. So lots of fun ways to interact with websites in code. I don't know what the equation is there, Young. I'm sorry. Yeah, we could just add more inputs if we wanted. So on our wherever page we have the form, we could just add in more values. So more inputs, and we get them by name. Well, so the problem with JavaScript is JavaScript runs on the client side. What happens with PHP or JSP and Java servlets is all this interpretation here happens on the web server, and then the result is sent back to the client. That's the big distinction here. So what that allows us to do is, when we get to next chapter, we're going to look at how we can get data out of a database. So if we have data in a database, you probably don't want your clients talking to your database directly. Like anyone who hits to your web page, you probably don't want them running queries at your database. You want to do that from the safety of your web server, where you manage all of everything that's happening, not opening it up to the outside world to do whatever they want with JavaScript. And that's sort of the idea. That's what we're going to drive towards, is a database-backed application where we can do, hey, let's go get data out of a database, do something with it, based on the user or based on the data, whatever information they tell us, that sort of thing. No, those are good questions. Good questions, folks. Okay, cool. Sorry. All right, are you guys good? I'm zoning out reading chat there. So the ifs and for loops, they work pretty much the same way. But we would, again, it's not really a great example here in this. We're going to use a loop for our first project. So I'm pretty sure you guys can figure it out. It's not too hard. Let's see. And then including other pages. Yeah, we could do that. And then PHP documentation. Yep, that wraps up chapter 2. Okay, yeah, definitely practice. So that's what we're going to get into now. Is we'll talk about what the first project is. The include part is cool. We do that a lot for like navigation in the top navigation. Yeah. And we'll get to that another time. We don't have any good examples right now. Okay, yeah, so some practice. All right, so let me pull this up here. And let's do our first real project. Okay, that's assignments. That's what I want to do. Okay, not very many people finished project 0 out of how many people are in the class. That has me worried a little bit. I'm assuming because you guys are chatting with me that everything went fine, and it's people that I just haven't heard from yet. So we'll see how that goes, I guess. Okay, so we're going to have this due in 2 weeks. It'll be the 11th at 1 p.m. The idea is at 1 p.m. I'm going to go over the solution to it, so I can't take this one late. Cool, thanks everybody. So I need a new grade here. Let's make a new, oops, not untitled. This is project 1. Project 1, put it in projects. Okay. And this one's going to be 10 points for this one. Why can't I do that? Okay, so for now, we're just going to upload the PHP files to me. It's not ideal, and I don't love it, but again, we haven't tackled Git yet. We'll get to that later. I still make myself laugh when I make silly jokes or puns like that. No, so the BMI was just an example. If you want to go build it yourself, you're welcome to try it yourself. You should be able to get all that to work. The book has its own example if you're following through the textbook, through Murrock's examples. Yep. Yeah, so I'm just trying to show you, this is one way we use the tools. These are the techniques we use. This is how you build something. So some people like to follow along while I do it. Some people like to follow along after the fact. Some people don't bother. Right? Totally up to you. Totally up to you. Okay. All right. Oh, that's right. So let me save it, and then I have to like reopen it. It's really obnoxious. I'm sorry. Sometimes D2L gets weird. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we're going to create a retirement projections PHP page. Okay, so we're going to have a bunch of places for people to enter data. So have text inputs for lots of things. So we're going to start with age. We're going to have desired retirement age. We're going to have current assets let's say these are, we'll say savings balance. This is the current savings balance. In the current investment. An investment here is just a broad term here we're just going to assume something invested in the market somewhere, which if you're following along with the Robinhood and GameStop insanity, yeah, it's just nuts lately, but sure, we'll go with it. So if we're following along with that, right, this is just a broad term. We're not buying GameStop stock right now is not an investment. That's just gambling. Let's be honest. That's legit gambling at this point. Not to say I didn't do it. I mean, I took the hit yesterday and cashed out and took a day trade hit with Robinhood, and then Robinhood is not letting people buy today, which I have strong opinions about. But you can go check out my Twitter feed if you want to know my personal opinions. Anyway, so we're going to ask for some information here, and then we're going to ask for how much additional savings per year, or I don't know, sure, how much, and how much additional investing per year. Yeah, I don't know if I would recommend it anymore, given their moves to block people from buying these stocks, in their words, protecting you from the volatility of the market, which hopefully is going to be investigated now. I think Congress is on that already. I know AOC and Ted Cruz both agree that we should investigate Robinhood for this practice. So if you can get them to agree on something, that's you got to be pretty special. All right. So again, we have their current age. This is current age, and a desired retirement age. The current savings balance, the current investment balance, and then additional savings per year and additional investing per year. Yeah, BlackBerry and Nokia. I took a big hit yesterday. I bought in. Not investment advice. This is totally gambling, but just for fun and to get in on it. Yeah, they're down a bunch, which is unfortunate. So, but that's okay. You know, not too big of a deal. Don't put money in that you can't afford to lose. That's solid advice there. How about that? So we're going to ask for these inputs. Okay. Then we're going to calculate the future value of our retirement savings. Right, so for savings, assume a fixed, we'll just say 2% annual rate of return. And I know this is, it's just nonsense at this point, but that's okay. So 2%, sure, why not? And then for investments, assume a fixed 8% annual rate of return. This is complete nonsense. That's okay. We're just simulating here, and we're not going to randomize it at all or to look at historical returns. We're just going to pretend that every year they go up by 8%. Total pretending nonsense here, but that's okay. It's just what we're going to do for this. Okay. So we're going to loop for each year until they reach the desired retirement age. We're going to output the value of savings and investments each year, or display. So in the loop, right, you need to be adding this to some sort of output string, some sort of message you're going to be printing, right? Display the value of savings and investments each year, right? Then at each year, so this is like inside the loop. At the end, display the total retirement savings balance of both savings and investments. That's like combine them all here. This is your total. This is how much you've saved after so many years. So if I were to plug this in, right, you might say, okay, current age 21, desired retirement age 65. So 65 minus 21, right? That gives us 44 years to do this thing. So every year, let's increase savings by this additional amount, increase investment by this additional amount, increase savings by 2%, increase investments by 8%. display that each year. At the end, show them the total. Then the last part, the kicker here, display the future value of the retirement savings adjusted for inflation. So inflation, the idea here, if you haven't taken an economics class, is that things get more expensive every year. It's not necessarily guaranteed, but it's a pretty good bet that things get more expensive every year, given the Federal Reserve's stated policy of targeting inflation of 2% per year, right? They want inflation to happen, right? So we're going to assume fixed 2%. You know what? Sure, well, let's do 1.5% per year, because who knows? No, make it 2%. Why not? Make it 2%. We'll assume they get to their target and they're perfect at it. So what that means is I take my future value is the total savings divided by 1.02 to the power of years. So in 1 year, right, it'll be 2% less. So I'll divide my total savings by 1.02 to say that's 2% less, right? 1.02 times 1.02. So 2 years, it'll be 4% less, 4.04, right? Times 1.02 and on and on and on and on and on and on, right? Times equal, should I do that? On and on and on and on and on. Right, so 1.02 times equals. So on and on and on and on and on, a bunch of times here, right? Eventually, right, after so many years, so that's the same, like, let's do a scientific calculator here. So if we do 1.02 to the, say, 41 years, the current value, or the future value, right, we're saying like, in today's, future value might be the wrong term here. I'm sure it's not the right term, but that's okay. We'll say whatever you did save, you need to divide that by 2.25 to account for that inflation, because everything, maybe not exactly everything, but on average, things will be about 2.25 more expensive. So a gallon of milk, if it's $2 now, would be times 2.25. So it would be $4.50 for a gallon of milk in the future. So if you're able to save $1 million, but everything is 2.25 more expensive than it used to be, the purchasing power of that $1 million needs to be adjusted. Does that make sense? Right, so we're assuming if everything costs more, our money is worth less because it buys you less goods every year. So you see, like, it's a wash for anything in savings. Again, a 2% rate of return is probably a really, really good savings account lately. But we're just making up the numbers here. And 8% is not fixed. Sometimes it's 50%, sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's 2. I mean, but it's okay. We're just, we're using some bad assumptions here. This is bad assumptions, retirement projections. Okay, that's my little, that's the warning here. So this all starts with, right, it takes inputs on an index.php page for, right, calculate on a retirement.php page, right, calculate the future value of our retirement savings. That makes sense? So input index.php like has all the inputs. The form sends them to the next page here, and you can use Git, you can use Post. I don't care which one. Git might be easier for you if you want to play with the values and change them yourself. You can like refresh without having to click the extra button. Use Git or Post, doesn't matter. Okay. So it's relatively simple arithmetic. Okay. We'll use the loop. We'll display all that information in the loop. Okay. All right. It shouldn't be scary, especially if you've taken Java 1 and Java 2. This should, shouldn't be too bad. But that's okay. That's all right if it feels like a lot, right? You've got 2 weeks to work on it. We've got 2 extra hours to get started here of class time. And again, I don't want you to feel like you're getting gypped here. I can understand if you feel like this is weird, but if we actually were meeting for 4 hours in person, I would not be talking all 4 hours at you. Most of the classes that we run here in the computer labs are run sort of lab style, where we spend some amount of time talking, and then we've got time practicing. Yeah, even in Java 1, you should be fine with that. That's right, you didn't have to take both. It was one or the other, which is weird because the Java 2 has a prereq of Java 1, so I don't know why, but whatever. That's a funny story. So we're just doing some arithmetic. Make sure this additional savings every year. So be sure add this value every year in the loop, right? So like current value gets increased by 2%, right? And increased by 8%, or for that. Okay. So you'll want to use loops. I can show you some silly loops. We got another couple minutes. I'll show you some silly loops. Why not? So let's add another page. New PHP file. And actually, he has a very similar example where you have an investment with an interest rate and a years, and he loops through and does that sort of thing. So you can mostly copy off his examples here for that one. Oops, I did the wrong thing. I wanted like a page here. Okay, loops. So let's have a times. So you tell me that times, and we're going to take this as an integer. Boy, int. No, what do I want? Int. Oh man, I got to go back and look at that filter stuff. I never remember anything. I'm sorry, and I don't expect you guys to either. Filter. There we go. That's my filter. Filter, validate. There we go. Int. Okay. Make sure it's an integer value because we're going to use that inside the loop. Okay. So let's do this. So we have that times. Okay. So we want to have some sort of, I don't know, a result. Starts off as a string. Okay. Oops. There we go. And then we want to do a loop. So we're going to say for, this is count is 1, count is less than or equal to times, count plus plus. Uh-oh. I'm breaking it already. Come on, loops. Work with me. Well, that should all be fine there. Curly brace. No? Count. No? Identifier count. Check my preceding. Why did it make it so upset? The dollar sign. Yeah, I should have the dollar sign there. Huh. I don't know. Let's see. Let's just keep going here. So let's take result equals. Let's do. Oh, this counts. Oh, geez. Yep. Thank you. I'm looking at the wrong one here. And over here. Oh my goodness. All the dollar signs. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I have a dollar sign right here. Totally missed all the other times. Thank you. yeah, that'll all to do it. Okay, so let's add count, and how about a break? See if we can add a break. Okay, and then we'll echo our result when we're done. And actually, I don't want to do special characters because I want the break there. Let's see if that'll work. So probably don't use that message. Counting. Okay, let's give that a shot. So I need that's loops PHP. So let's take another one of these copies here. throw that in the form. Oh, I want the break too. Okay, so make this be loops.php. It'll get data. We'll have as its times and loop me. See if that'll work. So go back to the home page, refresh it. Okay, oh, we didn't want name. This is times to loop. Okay, times to loop. So let's do 10 times. Let's loop. There we go. So counting. Oops. Go to my loops page. Forgot the BR here. And a break. Okay. So now counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If I want to change that value here, I can count more. Right? The problem is if I do a negative number, it just doesn't do anything, which is okay. But like, there's no good validation to say, hey, your number was negative, because our for loop just never ran. So we could do another check in here, like, hey, if the times is negative, do a bad thing, or that sort of thing. Sure, that's okay. Or, you know, if I don't enter text, because I did the validation here, which is nice, it's not going to fail. If I wasn't doing this validation, if I was just getting the times value out here, let me save that and refresh. Oh, now it's thinking real hard about it. It is unhappy. I was expecting it to error because we couldn't use it in a loop, but maybe I was too slow. I'll put the validation back. We like the validation. Okay, so protects us, make sure we only enter numbers, that sort of thing, 10 times. We can loop 10 times. You can use while loops as well. They work pretty much the same way, or for loops. So if you want to use this little trick where you stick the BR in, don't do the HTML escaping. Right? Which we probably feel safe because I'm in complete control of building this result output here. So if I want to stick HTML in, it's okay. I'm not actually taking their input of times and putting that directly into the output. So I know I said probably always use that, but only if we're like doing something with their user's input, the user's input. Okay? How does that feel? Is that good to go through a little loop example? And then what I'll do, all right, this is terrible, but I can just post all of these for now. You know, I can probably set that back up. Let me set it back up. Sources. Yeah, if I just copy to another location, I think that'll work. Yeah. Let me do that. Let me set up a Git repo real quick. GitHub. Let me try this. Because I don't like to attach code files in D2L because I think that's ugly, but sure. Make a new repository. A dad joke. Oh, you got it. You got it. All right, so just got a couple fresh ones for you guys. Let's see. Yes. So I was really excited. I don't get compliments all that often, except when people try and suck up to me, which please don't do. But someone called me pretty today, and I was really happy that they called me pretty. Like, it, you know, made me feel really good. But, you know, I'm usually a pretty positive person. What they actually said was that I'm pretty annoying, but I only like to focus on the positive things anyway. Okay, so let's make this PHP, Java, probably Java, I don't know. MIT, that's probably enough. Let's try that. Okay, so I'm going to clone this. I'll go through all this stuff later for you guys. I love GitHub. It's a great tool. More people should use it, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that after. Okay, so I'm going to show this in Explorer. This ought to work. Okay, I'm going to go to my project properties. I'm going to copy files from source to another location. I want to copy to here. And let's try that. I think that ought to do it. Now I should get a bunch of stuff maybe. Let's see. I get a bunch of stuff? You didn't copy. Why didn't it copy? Copy files from source folder to another location. I put... okay, let's try this. Let's see if I can find it here. XAMPP, project 2. Do I go the other direction? Maybe I have to go the other direction. Let's just copy all that. CIS 2454. Project 2 in here. I'm going to try just a couple of things here real quick. I think I can get this to work for you. Let's close that. And then I want to open a project in 2454 PHP project 2. Okay. Then I want to copy from source to that other location. I can copy it here. Is that what I want to do? Do I have to put the project name in maybe? Okay. So I don't know if it's actually doing that though. That's unfortunate. I can just copy paste for now. I can figure all that out after. Big. Some of that might work. We'll see. We'll see. But I've got all the PHP files out here at least for you guys. You can see all those here. This is chapter 2. Okay. So what you can do, and I'll put this link here in Desire to Learn. So I'm going to put a rubric up for you guys in a little bit for your how you get your 10 points for this project, but let me do this part first for you. So I'll put the link here and our exclam GitHub in the chat. You should be able to find it there. This is, of course, GitHub repository. That's code examples. Okay, so that should be in Desire to Learn for you guys. All my courses are out there, all the code I do, but go look for the one for our class specifically. Okay, and I'll figure out how to do this copy thing. I feel like it should work, but maybe not. Project 2, I hit run. What does it do? I think I made it sad. Nope, didn't copy anything. Shoot. Yeah, didn't copy it. Copy files from source folder to another location. Copy to folder. Copy files on project open. I don't know. Oh boy. There's probably a way to do it. For now, I can just copy paste, and I'll figure that out after. I know there's a way to do it. So what I'm going to figure out after the fact. This watching me do this is not interesting. Source folder. Webroot. Do I change that? Nope. Ooh, did that do it? I might have copied them over. That's exciting. Project 2, so let me close it out real quick. Make sure that it works. Try it one more time. Nope, okay, I broke it that time. When I checked that it copied, copy on file, open. Not found. That's all right. I'll find that part out for you after. So we can call it a day. Take this time, get started on the project. Make your index file with all your forms. Add in your retirement calculator. You got to go through the arithmetic, and we'll go from there. Okay. All right. I will talk to you guys next week. Sorry again about the snow day last week, but I don't think it'll impact us too much, so we should be in pretty good shape. Yes, definitely. Yeah, if that wasn't clear, you should definitely be reading the book. And then I will post a quiz for Chapter 2 here in D2L a little bit later, and you'll get at least a week for that. The quizzes are open book, open notes, and just not open neighbor. So don't talk to your neighbors about them, but use your resources. You can open them, close them. There's no time limit aside from the due date on the quiz. So I'll post the quiz. Maybe one for Chapter 1 and 2 combined. Maybe one, probably just 1 and 2 combined. I don't think we've got too much other than that. All right. Yeah, if you have questions, best place to ask is in Discord in the class-specific channel, because then everyone gets the benefit of your question and what the answer is. Obviously, if it's something with your code particularly, send me a direct message, email me, call me, whatever. I can go from there. But just generally,